Hello everybody, we are on to our second brief lecture in chapter 9 that deals with control processes, and we're going to look at some control tools and techniques that managers and leaders use in organization to evaluate performance, to measure, to take corrective action when necessary. So one tool of control is what we call project management. You might have again heard this term before. It is been has had a lot of popularity because many firms are using projects and project teams to do their operations now. What it is, it's overall planning, the supervision, and the control of projects. So it's simply the management process in a micro way in terms of a project. Projects, what are they? They're unique one-time events, and they occur within a defined time period, so it's kind of one-off things. So let's say, think about a project might be building a plant, for example. It might be a marketing campaign. That might be another example of a project. And there are certain ways that managers can control projects. And one way is by using something called a Gantt chart. A Gantt chart is a graphic display of tasks required to complete a project. So what's really important in many project management arenas is controlling the schedule and making sure that you stay on schedule and you meet deadlines, because missing deadlines can not only cost you money, but it can delay the entire process, thereby hurting your bottom line, hurting your ability to perhaps do the project effectively. And so a Gantt chart shows you, for example, what each part of the project and how long, it shows you first of all each part of the project and how long each one of these projects, each one of these parts I should say, is going to take. Another tool that can be used in project management for control is what's called the critical path method, or the PERT method. It's a combination of a critical path method and also the program evaluation and review technique, which is the PERT part. And here you see something that is common in a CPM type model. It's called a critical path model. And what you see here are different events or different parts of the project. And this chart essentially shows you the path that is most critical. What it means is that there is no slack in any one of these processes, and therefore any type of delays in these processes are going to lead to overall delays in the entire project. So you have to be mindful of these particular events, these particular actions, and ensure that they are not delayed, because if they are delayed, the entire project will be delayed. So this is one way for a manager to measure, to control a project, looking at the critical part and assessing whether or not the critical part actions are being taken or being done in a timely manner, and then there are no delays. Another tool that can be used in control is inventory control tools. And what you do here is that you're ensuring that your inventory is only big enough to meet your immediate needs. A lot of times firms kind of stock up on inventory. They kind of have what's called a buffer stock because they're uncertain about demand, or they're even uncertain about their processes and their production in terms of the stability of their production. Okay, they're not sure if they're going to have enough products on hand, and they're not necessarily sure what the demand is going to be. A lot of technology, a lot of investment has gone into trying to determine the best or the optimal amount of inventory. Again, firms don't want to carry a lot of inventory because inventory is a cost. The more inventory I have, the more cost I am carrying. So a lot of research and development has gone into trying to determine, as I said, the most optimal inventory level. And we can use things like the economic order quantity, or even just in time, which is, making sure that we have only what we need when we need it. These tools, these models help us again to have the most optimal inventory level, and therefore not have inefficiencies in terms of carrying too much inventory. Another tool is a break-even analysis. I don't know if any of you are accounting majors or finance majors, so you might have seen this before. Break even is simply where our revenues equal our costs. That's kind of where we move from the red to the black, with a point, if you will, of inflection. Break even analysis, we perform what if calculations on the different revenue and cost, so you can kind of see, okay, if we get this amount of revenue or we have this amount of cost, what is the point of break even? It can give us an idea about what we'll need to produce, how much we'll need to sell in order to reach that point. This is just a demonstration, an illustration of this. This is the point where all costs are equal to revenue. That's, if you will, the point of inflection. Balance sheets and income statement, financial statements can also be good control tools because they can help us identify problem areas in our organization in terms of whether or not we have too much debt, for example, if our liquidity is suffering, if our revenues are suffering, our production areas, our fixed costs, all of those things that are important indicators of how well we're doing financially. They can help us to evaluate our performance and help us to take corrective action. And then the last tool I want to look at is this thing called a balanced scorecard, and was created by these people, Kaplan and Norton. And what they talked about here was the need to not only look at the traditional financial measure of the firm, but also look at how the firm was responding, or how the firm was doing with respect to value creation. And what better way to assess value creation than through customer satisfaction, through evaluating whether or not customers are happy with what the firm is doing. Another area that they thought firms should look at beyond their financial and even their customer satisfaction is their efficiency in terms of their internal processes. Okay, whether or not they were performing efficiently in terms of the way that they were operating within the firm, their supply chain management, their production, all of their different value chain activities, whether or not they were doing these efficiently and whether or not they were improving their processes through process innovation, if you will. And then the last area that they thought that firms should evaluate themselves on is the innovation and learning. So is the firm doing new things? Is it changing? Is it adapting to the environment? Is it improving in terms of its learning and its knowledge base? So all of these four criteria, when they are placed together, in fact, one could argue that the three below all lead into financial performance. If you have satisfied customers, you have great efficiency, and you are very innovative, you're likely to see financial results. And so all these four areas are important for firms to assess and evaluate, because it gives them a more holistic picture of both their internal operations as well as their external interaction. It tells the firm basically what they do well internally, but also whether or not they are leveraging and meeting the opportunities in the environment.